such a great job and an honor to work with you.
Such a great job and an honor to work with you, editor and co-producer. I want to say to the people that want to support our film, go to our website, heyjudeproductions.com, and we're really doing it with the community, for the community. Whoever still want to have his name on the film, it's always possible. And I want to tell you another thing that has to do, what? Oh, and we do have them. Oh, above. So it's just, wonderful, really. Shane, Jeff, and Charlie, we saved the time from Larry because it's late. But there are some people that remember Larry from LA and came to me now that they remember them. But before we start, I just also want to thank my wife Miriam. Thank you so much. And the last thing before we start the Q&A, you guys seen 11 hours, and people say that they were on the edge of their seat for 11 hours. I do want to acknowledge that there are people that are now thousands of hours hostage, and there is suffering on both ways. So we do hope for end to this, and for all of them to be out and to end the suffering from this.
Well, let me begin by saying to Rabbi Charlie and to Jeff and to Shane, what a great, great privilege and honor it is to meet all of you and to acknowledge your extraordinary heroism on that day, your presence of mind, your good humor, your sense of determination and resilience and fellowship and brotherhood. Kol hakavod, and bless you all. Just today, in Russia, 2 synagogues were attacked, one of them firebombed. In Pittsburgh, a groundbreaking ceremony, beautiful ceremony, was held to dedicate and begin in earnest the construction of the new Tree of Life Center. And as you heard earlier from my colleague Jeff Abrams, just down the street from where we gather now, anti-Israel agitators, protesters, blocked entry to a yeshiva and a synagogue. So to each of you, seeing this film, not quite 2.5 years removed from this terrible day, how much in your minds does this narrative remain a clear and present danger?
I mean, for me, you know, I was in the editing room with Joe when suddenly, when we were really advanced in the progress, October 7 happened. I remember one of my phone calls was to Rabbi Charlie, and yeah, it was devastating because we did not know what will happen, and that the story will be so relevant in so many ways, and the world will be where it is now. You don't plan that. And that happened on January 15, 2022. And, you know, I mean, you guys maybe can share. There is a time when you show the movie for the first time that maybe you want to hear from the crowd or from you how this played in a post-October 7 world, because that was definitely not the plan. I don't think anyone had any plan to live in a world that we live in today.
Our esteemed friends via Zoom, do you care to add any perspective to Dani's comments or to the question?
Absolutely. Jeff, did you want to go first?
Either way.
Go
So,
ahead.
to me, the thing that started the whole incident in our attacker's mind was that he believed down to his core, the anti-Semitic racist tropes, that he had internalized them, that he had taken them on himself, and that he really believed that this was okay. That it was totally okay to take hostages, to threaten people, to kill them if necessary, and to die himself. And that's not okay. And here we are, 2.5 years later, and what you folks just saw down the street is the same thing. Instead of, saying Jews control the media and Jews control the banks and Jews control everything, the government, what you're hearing is anti-Zionists. Zionists control Zionism. It's the same rhetoric. It's the same thing. And it's just as dangerous, if not more, today on June 23rd, 2024, as it was on January 15, 2022.
I will just say that Jeff is joining us from Dallas. Shane, who, by the way, is Jewish. He's also that. But Rabbi Charlie, thank you so much for waking up on your vacation. Where you are in the world?
I'm in Switzerland right now. Let me just respond to the question and say that we've had a lot of really rough days as a people. It was a rough day on 10/27 at Tree of Life. It was a horrible day at Poway. What happened to us, fortunately, had a happy ending, but very traumatic on many levels. And on October 7th, it was devastating. And problems had been bad before, and they've just gotten worse. And with that idea, and with that understanding that things have gotten worse, it's really important for us to know that what's happened today, what happened in Russia, what continues to happen, we can't be surprised anymore. But I think that that there was the sense that we're supposed to be prepared, we need to be prepared, and yet we continue to be shocked into a sense of how do we respond, how do we react, that kind of a situation. And at this point in time, we can't be shocked anymore. We have to know that it's possible. And while we know that it's possible, it becomes that much more important to reach out and find those connections, to continue to demand that not only that we stand up for ourselves, but that we ask others to stand up for us. It is, while things are as bad as they have been in my lifetime, in many of our lifetimes, in the United States and around the world, I still take comfort in the fact that the American government has a 100-point plan to combat anti-Semitism. And that's unprecedented. That's unprecedented to my knowledge in the history of the world, right? To have that level of support. And so while there continues to be challenge after challenge after challenge, we can't turn that blind eye to the fact that we do have allies. And people are standing up for us and continue to stand up for us, even as extremism certainly appears to be getting worse. And so it's important to have that perspective as we look out in the world today. It's important to know that we're not alone.
Thank you, Rabbi. As a viewer, for the very first time of the film, not seeing an advanced screener and being part of the premiere, what struck me, Dani, was how so much of the narrative told itself. The cameras at all angles, real time, live, which is a reflection that you, Rabbi Charlie, and the leadership of the congregation did everything correctly, went through the ADL training, did all of the preemptive security elements, physical, but not just physical, the thinking, the strategy, the planning, the practicing, and the juxtaposition of seeing this play out because those cameras were in place and having come about because of your impulse to do the kind, right, Jewish thing in the morning, to allow someone in from the cold, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked. It was that ethos. And that juxtaposition, I find staggering and very much a reflection of the time in which we are living. And maybe, Dani, just to put a finer point on it, documentary filmmaking is a bit of a mystery because the story leads you where it leads you. In this instance, it was almost laid out for you. And with that, still twists and turns. Can you share a little bit of that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the twists and turns were the fact that, after I interviewed them, and Charlie and the guys can say, like, it took me some time until they were willing to share the story and make a movie about it. But it took a year until I got the material from the FBI. That was like a game changer, because it was 13 hours of 13 security cameras from over all of the day. So that suddenly spread so much light about what it is. And the second thing is that, I knew that it's an amazing story with beginning, middle, and end, and a happy ending. I didn't want to be, there is enough depressing stories, a happy ending, but it's their character, their character of loving the stranger, even after what happened, that really drew me to tell that story. And in many ways, when I'm looking into some kind of connection to what we are going through now, and Rabbi Charlie and I were in a convention with the ADL, and we spoke about it, is the fact that even after what happened, the core value stayed. And that is something that I feel, even for us as a lesson, it's a victory. If we can still keep our human, even if somebody says, I love death more than you love life, which is some of those terrible terrorists that we're even negotiating with, but if we can still keep our values, I hope this is something that could be considered as some kind of a victory. And that's one of the things that I wanted to show.
Do any of you care to comment as well?
Oh, is it okay if I go, Jeff?
Of course.
All right. Let me just say that it's about the values, plural. And I want to start with the value of security and protection and preparation. I want to stress that it wasn't just me. I went through my first, sorry, it's a little bit early. My first active shooter training with the FBI that the ADL alerted me to. And that was after Charleston, South Carolina,
Mother Emanuel Church
shooting, yeah. And we as a congregation would not have been able to make that happen and put all of the preparation, do all of the training, working with the ADL, working with the Secure Community Network, if it weren't for lay leadership. It has to be the entire congregation participating together to make that happen. To allow those trainings to happen, to allow the investment of time, energy, effort. We had heroic people that wrote And that, and again, a small congregation. At that point in time, there were maybe 160, 170 households. 2 volunteers that put the time, energy, and effort to work through a secure, the nonprofit security grant program, grants, and to work through those pieces. It's an incredibly important piece of preparation. Although I've said before, and I'll say again, I've led lots of services, thousands of services, and I've only been taken hostage once. As bad as things are, as difficult as things are today, we aren't seeing fire bombings every single day, everywhere, all the time. It's, we can't panic, but we do need that sense of preparation. We do need to know what to do, how to respond in case there's a challenging and difficult moment.
Thank you.
So if I may, I'm going to be much more specific, and I'm going to talk directly to the audience that I can't see. So I want each of you to close your eyes, and without thinking, point. Where are 2 exits? How many of you knew where they were? Okay, so look, you need this training, okay? Whether it's through ADL, whether it's through SCN, whether it's through a combination, whether it's through Homeland Security, you need this training. You don't know when you're going to need it. That's the whole point. Believe me, if I knew I was going to be taking hostage that day, I wouldn't have gone. Okay? So you need to do these things. I cannot overemphasize it. For those of you who are in the positions of security or want to get more involved, join your religious organization's security team. Get in there. Talk about it. We do training at least twice a year. We do training, or not training, but we do a tabletop exercise at least once a year. We update our documents every year and really twice a year to make sure that we know what to do. Because you don't know what's going to happen. And I will tell you, most of our security planning is about tornadoes, hail, flooding. And the other thing that I would add, as much of the training as you get, we all learn what you're supposed to look for in an attacker, right? Doesn't make eye contact, isn't personable, doesn't smile. All these things that they tell you are the stereotypes. Those are all true. But our guy, he was friendly, he was personable, he made eye contact, he smiled, he laughed. All those things that should have been red flags went off. What that means is somebody who's determined can get in, okay? And you cannot blame anybody who's in the building for trying to do the right thing to, at the coldest day of the year, let a guy who claims to be living on the streets, let him in and help him find a Rachel. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't changed how we will handle things. We've learned, and there's a lot to it. But don't let it change your basic character, but make sure that you're prepared. All right, I'll get off my soapbox.
Very wise, Jeff. This is exactly the message that we at AJC, that Jeff and the team at ADL are proselytizing about, because we can't do it enough. I want to turn to you, Shane, for a moment. You've had quite.
I think you deserve a round of applause.
You have had a unique Jewish journey, and if you could maybe share with us what this period has been for you post January 15th of 22.
So, well, for one, it took a little while to get over January 15th. And then everything was going well, I think. I would also wear my kippah everywhere I went. I was very proud, and I'm Jewish, right? This is who I am now. And I actually stopped after October 7th. that was an eye opener. Not only just what happened to us, but to see this happen across the globe, and to see everybody experiencing this, and it really hurts to see all the anti-Semitism. But I will say on the bright side of this too, right? Because I just came back from Germany, and I saw a lot of people carrying signs and protesting for us, showing that anti-Semitism has no place here, and that we stand in solidarity with the Jewish people. I saw that in Munich, I saw it in Hamburg, I saw it in Rhine. It was a very nice experience to see that.
Thank you. Dani, back to you for a minute. This is premiering at the LA Jewish Film Fest, and I'm sure it will make the rounds to other film festivals and other venues. Who should see this movie? And who do you think will see this movie? And what will the impact be? What do you hope the impact will be?
Yeah, I always, when I'm asked, I remember that the name of my company is Hey Jude Productions. From the line of the Beatles, take a sad song and make it better. So what I like to do is take stories that had some hard moment, but transform them into good. So I absolutely think that right now there is a tremendous importance for a movie like this to be shown. I really came for the movie because it's a good story. I thought if those were not just Jewish people, they were Muslims that were held from a hate crime 11 hours, I would still be interested as a storyteller. I mean, obviously they're Jewish, so I felt even closer to that story, but it was just a good movie. But now, with everything that is going on in the world, I think it's important to show that it can happen in the United States. And so whoever knows people on Netflix and all that stuff, help me shake the tree. And yes, we will do festivals. Our next East Coast premiere will be soon with Rabbi Charlie at Winston-Salem in North Carolina. We will be later in Texas, we'll be in New York, we'll travel all around, and we'll meet, we'll hang a lot with the guys. Shane is not eating pepperoni pizza anymore, so we really think that, for me, as I said, it was a great story, wonderful characters, and I hope it will travel far. Yeah.
Amen. I wanted to also just give a kol hakavod to Rabbi Buchdahl, and to share with us. My wife Susan and I had the privilege of being congregants at Central Synagogue a few years ago before moving to LA, and can attest to, for those who may have seen Rabbi Buchdahl for the first time this evening and heard her extraordinary voice for the first time this evening, both in song and just in heart, in the spoken word. She is remarkable, and it's very, very touching, Rabbi Charlie, the friendship and the kinship and the kindred spirits that the two of you instantly became. I think it's a beautiful reflection on our people and on the power of the rabbinate and its ability to move people. So there wasn't really a question there. That was, I violated my own rule. There was never really a question. But let me ask this question, or let me make one other observation and ask you all to maybe go a little deeper. In our post-October 7 world, and this reality and this ongoing nightmare that our community is facing, we're both wearing the yellow ribbon tonight. Do you think the timing of the release of this film and the audiences that it hopefully will reach, as you've just described, in the context of what our people have faced, the Israeli people, but the Jewish people writ large. Will this build allyship? Will this be good for the Jews? Is really the question.
I mean, I believe when you do good, good things happen. And I think good and positive and important voices like these characters and Rabbi Charlie and Rabbi Buchda are something that the world needs to hear more. And the fact that, you know, no innocent person needs to go through what they went through. I always feel like sometimes, you know, those events, they did not choose, you know, they did not choose this, but the event chose them. So they now have a voice to tell their story. I almost feel like in many ways, it may sound strange to some people, I really didn't choose to do that movie. I was working on a narrative movie. I said enough documentaries, it's too much time, energy, there's no money in it. I just am like a schnorrer, I'm begging for money from people. We have Chuck and Sherry here that also supported me, so thank you so much. But really, it's like it's terrible to make it look great until you come to the premiere. Then it's fun to see. But really, in many ways, I felt like it was stronger than me, and I had to tell that story. And maybe the fact that the world is the way it is now means that there are sometimes things that are stronger than you, and that's how I felt with that movie, that it all came together. And I wonder what, Charlie, 6 a.m., I know.
First of all, Dani, I always love it when you refer to us as characters.
I know, yes. No, you know what, but Charlie, I'll let you speak, but honestly, I thought it would be a feature film, it will be a narrative. So I always thought, who's going to play Charlie, who's going to play Shane? Now that you're Jewish, it's even more problematic. So, but
Dani, I mean, you talk about good people doing good things and good things happening, and I look at the book of Job, right? For better or for worse, I'm a Jewish optimist, right? I know things can always get worse, right? And it's something that, when we see the extremism today, it's something that we have to push back against. And I think this movie does a wonderful job to help push back against some of the extremism. It helps to remind people that it's not just about phrases. It helps to remind people that it's not just about, trying to stand up for this side or that side. It's about humanity. It's about people. And I think that this, the film, Dani, that you've put together really does a wonderful job to keep the focus on our humanity and the dangers of extremism in a very, very personal way. And that's a very powerful way, right? Because it's by sharing stories, it's by sharing my unique perspective. This is what happened to us. This is something that we fortunately lived through. This is something that we almost didn't live through. And to be able to share that with people from many different backgrounds, not only the Jewish community, I think is vitally important right now. Because it's only by recognizing each other's humanity, the humanity of Israelis and the humanity of Palestinians, the humanity of each one of us. For people, that is one of the most tragic and terrible and difficult pieces of the ongoing campus protests, is to see the lack of humanity. And I think that this movie really helps to push against that and to remind us that each of us has a story, each of us has a perspective, each of us, right, is a world deserving of dignity and beauty, and God willing, God willing, people will be able to see this and remember that vital teaching that we all know on some level. We just need those reminders, and I think this movie does a great job of giving that reminder.
I know the hour is drawing late, and Shane and Jeff, if you wanted to share just some closing thoughts for the audience tonight, and as you think about this film making its way in a world that very much needs to hear it and see it and experience it in the way that Rabbi Charlie just described.
Not you.
I mean, I'm terrible at speaking in public, but I think what Robert Charlie said is very accurate, and I really appreciate his voice in this. And Dani's film was very important to us, and the anti-Semitism, the ongoing anti-Semitism in the world, and just to say that we're not going anywhere. We're still here, and this is a big thing. And I know the world is filled with hate, but there's still a lot of love and good in people. And I want to say that, yeah, this is to me, this is close to my heart.
So I'll do the one thing, I'll do the dirty work that Dani isn't quite willing to do. Look, it costs a lot of money to make a film. Who am I telling? I'm talking to an LA audience about 2 or 3 of you have to have something to do with the business, right? It costs a lot of money. We want people to see this film. We think it's very important. I mean, it's become a major mission for me to help people see this, to understand the dangers of those tropes and of the rhetoric. So please, if you can make a donation, please do. It's HeyJudeProductions.com. There's a little thing right on the bottom to donate, so it makes it really easy. And Dani's probably blushing a little bit right now, so please help us out.
And Dani, last word. This is a premiere. I think you've gotten a sense of the audience reaction tonight. Any parting words?
I really think each and every one of you came, and there are so many other things to choose from. And I really hope that some of the kindness of the characters came across. And for me, I feel like I'm very honored to be the one telling that story. I'm really thankful for them to trusting me with that story. I felt so privileged to so many here that helped me along the way. And I just hope, I can continue doing, telling positive stories, because there's so many negative stories out there. We don't need more than that. So in many ways, the one thing I will take from all this evening is Rabbi Charlie says, I'm an optimist. There is a lot of terrible things that can happen. So maybe it's like the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do with Hey Jude Productions. Take a sad song, make it better. So I hope all of you guys can, with the hard things that are going on now in the world, take those sad songs and make them better.
I will take the liberty of speaking on behalf of the organization I represent and the one I used to represent, to say, I knew I'd get a chuckle at each other, that both AJC and ADL will do everything within our power to make sure that this film is seen in as many cities around the United States and global capitals as possible. This is part of who we are. Rabbi Charlie talked about the 100-point plan from the White House. That is officially the U.S. national strategy to counter anti-Semitism. It is in fact unprecedented. It is a whole of society approach to raising awareness, to teaching, to building empathy and allyship, to eradicate as best we can the world's oldest and most enduring hatred. This film is a huge leap forward in humanizing our story, in helping people understand that there but for the grace of God go I. And so we thank all of you so very, very much for your courage as you navigate. And Dani, thank you for taking a sad song and making it better. God bless.